This is the history of protest songs in the United States. Part 10. The 20th Century. In the 20th century, the Union Movement, the Great Depression, the Civil Rights Movement, and the war in Vietnam all inspired protest songs. 1980s. Anti-Reagan protest songs and the birth of rap. The Reagan administration was also coming in for its fair share of criticism, with many mainstream protest songs attacking his policies, such as Bruce Springsteen's Born in the USA, 1984, and My Brain is Hanging Upside Down by the Ramones. This sentiment was countered by songs like God Bless the USA by Lee Greenwood, which was seen by many as a protest against protests against the Reagan administration. Billy Joel's Allentown protested the decline of the Rust Belt and represented those coping with the demise of the American manufacturing industry. Reagan came under significant criticism for the Iran-Contra affair, in which it was discovered that his administration was selling arms to the radical Islamic regime in Iran and using proceeds from the sales to illegally fund the Contras, a guerrilla terrorist group in Nicaragua. A number of songs were written in protest of this scandal. All She Wants to Do Is Dance, 1984, by Don Henley, protested against the U.S. involvement with the Contras in Nicaragua, while chastising Americans for only wanting to dance, while Molotov cocktails and sales of guns and drugs are going on around them, and while the boys, the CIA, NSA, etc., are making a buck or two. Other songs to protest America's role in the Iran-Contra affair include The Big Stick by Minutemen, Nicaragua by Bruce Cockburn, Please Forgive Us by 10,000 Maniacs, and Managua by Naked Ray Gun. The 1980s also saw the rise of rap and hip-hop, and with it bands such as Grandmaster Flash, The Message, 1982, Boogie Down Productions, Stop the Violence, 1988, NWA, Fuck the Police, 1988, and Public Enemy, Fight the Power, 1989. 911 Is a Joke, who vehemently protested the discrimination and poverty which the black community faced in the U.S., in particular focusing on police discrimination. In 1988, the Stop the Violence movement was formed by rapper KRS-One in response to violence in the hip-hop and black communities. Including some of the biggest stars in contemporary East Coast hip-hop, including Public Enemy, the movement released a single, Self-Destruction, in 1989, with all proceeds going to the National Urban League. Punk music continued to be a strong voice of protest in the 1980s, especially as relating to the Cold War, nuclear fear, and conservative politics. As the decade progressed, punk developed a heavier and more aggressive sound, as typified by Black Flag, whose debut album, Damaged, 1981, was described by the BBC as essentially an album of electric protest songs that takes a swing at the insularities and shortcomings of the me generation. Dead Kennedys, whose sweeping criticism of the U.S. Stars and Stripes of Corruption, 1985, contains the lyric, Rednecks and bombs don't make us strong. We loot the world, yet we can't even feed ourselves. And Bad Religion, a tradition carried on in the following decades more modern punk band like Anti-Flag and Rise Against. Of the few remaining old-school punks still recording in the late 80s, the most notable protest song is Patti Smith's 1988 recording, People Have the Power.